classes both people brought. I know the Stancifka, I think all players brought Warrior besides, I think, Dog, maybe being the exception, expecting to have it banned. So they all know that their other three decks are likely to be the ones that they're allowed to play. We'll see if any of the players decide to go for something a little bit fancier, where they let Patron be played and then they just play something else to counter it.
Maybe they just don't want Patron to be involved in the tournament because of its future, right? So they can have a bit of fun, have a bit of flexibility in what they play and kind of get a feel for an upcoming meta, a new horizon for Hearthstone. And I would, Dog had quite a good idea. Don't bring Warrior. Make them have to make a decision what they ban. Because if you just bring Warrior, oh, ban that. I've just banned, so I'm not going to play it. Yeah,
throw them in the future. Make them think about what they would ban if there were no Patron Warriors allowed. So as it turns out, Stancifka banned the Warrior from Cipher, and Cipher banned the...
No, it's the
other way around.
Yeah,
you're right. Cipher banned the... Oh my god.
Cipher banned the Warrior.
The Warrior, and Stancifka banned the Hunter from Cipher.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So basically both players brought Warrior, but Stancifka is letting Cipher play the Warrior, which is exactly what we were talking about. Maybe you're willing to let your opponent play Warrior, either because you believe they're going to misstep, or because you think you're able to counter it. So we'll see what Stancifka has. I expect here Handlock and Druid. If he's letting Patron go through, then that's probably in his lineup. But as far as the Mage goes, do you think Tempo Mage would be something you'd bring up against a potential Patron?
Echoes Mage?
Oh, man. Oh, that'd be the dream.
He has played it in the past. I mean, I was playing one of his lists a few months ago. There was two lists. There was Nev's list and there was Stancifka's list kind of going around. I was trying them both. So he has some history with the deck at least. So maybe he wants to bring something a bit fun, maybe something a bit different. We'll have to see.
Yeah, there's going to be a Control Warrior, I think, from Cipher. It's possible that he brings that instead of Patron. I'm not too sure how comfortable he is with either archetype. There's a possibility that Stancifka has some intel on Cipher, knowing that maybe he plays more Control. We'll have to see. So it's going to be a Druid mirror match and no ramp from Cipher's Mulligan.
And Stancifka hasn't done his yet. I guess he'll keep the 4-drop. I think 4-drop's super important.
Yeah, the ramp is
more
perhaps
important?
a little bit more. I mean, when you're playing Aspirant and Wild Growth, you're looking for those primarily, I'd guess. Pretty weak hand for both players. No crazy ramp happening for either of them right now.
Cipher has the advantage of having a Shade on free at the moment, and he does have a coin, so he has a bit of utility of what he can drop coming up. But like you said, both of them lack the ramp, so this is like an honest Druid match right now.
Yeah, and you know what's cool about not having ramp early is that very often what you run into is both players top deck innervate at the worst possible time when they just don't need it, or they get Wild Growth when they just don't need it. So not starting with it, it's bad right now because you don't ramp, but it's also worse later.
No, that's true, and the Shade's going to find its way to Stancifka's hand, so their hands are quite similar.
Yeah.
Apart from Savage Roar and Dr. Boom and Forasun and Double Keeper, so...
I mean, they're different, but they're fairly similar in that they will probably progress the same way. What's interesting about Emperor here is that it might force the opponent's Shade to unstealth earlier than yours. So there's a good chance that Stancifka can keep his Shade stealthed for a little bit longer, depending on what he expects to see.
And the one thing Emperor does, apart from reduce the cost of hand, especially in a deck like Druid, is it creates like a mind game. What has been reduced? Can he combo earlier now? Do I play around an earlier combo? So, Forasun does have that kind of mental aspect on its opponent as well, especially in a deck like Druid, which has an explosive 14 damage from hand with 2 cards.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's one of the biggest problems with Emperor is when it falls on the board, you kind of throw out any of the combinations of cards that you would have usually played against because you don't know which of those pieces would have been reduced. So sure, you can assume that one of two of Savage Roar or Force of Nature was reduced, but you can't assume that, say, a Swipe was brought down to 3. It's tough to make that call.
It's harder to play around stuff sometimes. It's harder to predict what combination of cards can come down on the curve, because if he has 6 mana, you might see Swipe Wrath, but if he's Emperor'd it, he might be able to squeeze in other little things that he couldn't before.
Yeah, even an extra hero power is a really big deal in those cases. So Cipher ends up keeping the coin. I'm guessing the idea is to get that Dr. Boom as fast as possible on the board, and in this case, I think it will pan out. He does, however, have to find a 4-drop, and Keeper of the Grove might not be appealing enough to do that.
Yeah, Keeper's kind of a weak 4-drop. You really want that Shredder, which is why I kind of question maybe might keep the Shredder, just so you have that 4-drop.
Guaranteed.
Because that's where the Druid game starts, right? 4 onwards. And if you can ramp up, you want to ramp up to 4 onwards so you can start playing your cards. So maybe just keeping hold of it. I mean, I probably would have, because I like to have that 4-drop guaranteed, because I know that's where my game begins.
Especially against another Druid, it's just the risk that you run into, I guess, of, you know, if an Innervate is in my opponent's hand and he's got the coin, which is exactly what Stancifka was facing down, maybe he was worried. I guess, like, ultimately, keeping it in this case would have been correct.
And here we go, Keeper the Grove to the face.
That's fine, right? I mean, totally worth it.
You need to play cards, so you've got no choice here, unfortunately. He's kind of thinking about the Shade now.
Maybe Keeper the Grove's name is actually Dennis.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Why would it be Dennis?
Why would it be you don't know Dennis?
Dennis?
Aquablade doesn't know Dennis?
I don't. You need to enlighten me.
Okay, Dennis is a legendary player who once displayed an amazing amount of skill by holy smiting the opponent's face on turn 1.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a great display of knowledge, and it was really to assert dominance, really. And it worked out, because his opponent immediately started laughing. And
so he was trying to put fear into his opponent.
Right.
I'll smite you.
I don't
turn
care.
1. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
and his opponent was like, whatever.
Pretty much what happened. All right, so we're looking at here at the possible Wrath hero power to kill the 2/4. It's going to let your Shade grow. And the fact that your Shade grows means that anything your opponent plays on curve is threatened. The only thing you don't want to see, really, is something like a Druid of the Claw, because it's a 4/6. But you do have the potential to combine the Keeper of the Grove with your Shade to kill that. So overall, I feel like the Wrath is better than coining out, and maybe wasting the coin on a Druid of the Claw.
Drawing the Forest, maybe that's what he's thinking now. I can drop Forest on turn 5 now. Coin him out, reduce the cost of my hand. He's got some good stuff in there as well. Another Keeper, another a Savage Roar, which is part of the combo piece for the Druid, and he gets the Dr. Boom reduced. So maybe that's kind of his idea here, just get that Forest down as soon as possible. Yeah,
that's definitely, I think, the line of thinking. Now, what's interesting is, earlier I was mentioning how Cipher's Shade might be able to stay stealthed to counter anything on curve that Stancifka played, such as Emperor Thorson, obviously the biggest target for Shade. That's become a 5/5 by that point. But if Cipher ends up coining out his Thorson, he will get a discount on it, be able to play Dr. Boom as a follow-up, and it will force Stancifka to do exactly what Cipher wanted to do, which is straight up. Now, if, however, you know, Stancifka ends up playing the Emperor on his own turn after his opponent's Emperor is played, then Cipher playing Dr. Boom is going to feel a little miserable, because you still don't deal with the 5/5.
All these Emperor games, and now this Drake looks very appealing to trade into, especially if you played play the Emperor Thorson now, because you'll want to protect it, and you want to force him to use other cards rather than curving out something on 6 or on 5. So he needs to make a decision here where he wants to go with it.
Yeah, if you kill the Drake, though, you really open yourself, like, because you play Emperor and it's a sacrificial Emperor.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because the Shade grows.
That's the biggest drawback.
You kill the Shade,
right,
for sure.
So if you kill the Shade, you open yourself up to a swipe. So, like, it really isn't a play that you love making, but ultimately you have to take a gamble on either swipe, or just straight up trading with the Shade. If you kill the Drake, it's usually better because you're more likely to trade away both minions. Whereas if you just kill the Shade, maybe swipe hits, and then good luck.
Yeah, it's a tough decision.
It really is.
You just have to make a strong read now on what you think he's going to have. Thorson's going to do his work, though. Before he gets taken out, he's going to reduce that hand, and you are going to get that Dr. Boom on 6, which you were talking about. But it looks like he does actually go for the Drake here.
I mean, Dr. Boom into combo sounds pretty cool. You're getting not only the 6 draw that spawns 3 minions, but also the combo right afterwards. But this is exactly what Stancifka's, you know, kind of okay with. He plays his own Emperor, makes the trade, and now it's up to Cipher to find a way to deal with the Emperor Thorson in an efficient manner while keeping his tempo up.
Emperor's going back and forth. Who would you say has got the stronger Emperor hand, though?
I would say Cipher has the better hand.
With the combo reduced for sure, but double Shredder into, say, Wrath or double Shredder. I mean, I think Stancifka's got a better hand as it progresses, but in the kind of current situation, if Stancifka can't kind of respond to the Dr. Boom,
yeah, which he can. I mean, he can go swipe Wrath to kill it and then play a Shredder on the back of it. This is beyond insane.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, you almost can't really do better than this in a position like that, because you get to keep your Emperor, maybe, if the Boom bots don't go completely crazy, and then you can just you know, deal some damage with it as well. So you're setting your opponent in a position where he's playing from behind, and even though he got a massive discount on his Emperor, yours potentially is even better.
And you're sitting at 30 health as well, so that combo is not going to come into play just yet. So if you look at what Stancifka has in his hand, Double Shredder, Ancient of Law, and another Keeper, he's got some, like you said, he's got some really strong follow-up plays, especially if he decides to go for this Swipe Wrath Pilot Shredder, whereas I think Cipher will need to find some more minions.
Yeah, play your Shredder first as well to soak up some damage from the Boombots. Makes a lot of sense because the Emperor dying is worse, in fact, than pretty much anything else. Gets a crappy minion, as bad as it gets. As bad as it gets.
Oh, poor little parrot. It's got no love.
It's alright. I love it when it's not in my deck. So I have that going for me. Oh man, wait. Lotheb, Innervate with a Claw.
That's a really good response.
Oh, that's a scary response.
So you can charge Druid, clear up the Force on, get a 5/5, lock out the spell so he can't go swiping away like he did last turn. If he did, well, actually he could, right? He could just swipe and
for
trade.
8, right.
Yeah, but that's just counterproductive. That's so counterproductive.
Yeah, the drawback to that play, it's not that it's a bad play per se. The biggest issue with it is you're giving back the initiative to your opponent, right, if that happens. So you're paying 8, you're clearing the Lotheb, yes, but you're also giving him back the opportunity to play something first. So I think Ancient of Lore is probably more appealing. Oh man, haha, counter Lotheb.
Lotheb into Lotheb, they both have the same, both had Forcem, both had Lotheb, but I think drawing cards is so much better.
It's been a very fair game, though. Both players haven't really ramped up. You know, sometimes you get a complete blowout, like one player just goes Wild Growth and then an Innervate play, or like Darnassus Aspirant, and it's just curving perfectly while the other one struggles. This is not one of those games. This is actually a very, very fair game for both players.
It's an honest Druid mirror, and we don't see them very often.
Yeah, it's...
All right, Shredder comes down. Nice board from Stancifka, sitting at 30 health as well. So he's really healthy. He's got a strong board. He's forcing Cipher to answer these problems.
I'm not sure how you approach this situation, though, from Cipher's perspective, because if you're ever forced to use Force of Nature, you're in a position where you don't have a lethal anymore. Your Thorson play just fizzled because you aimed for that combo. You know, you go Thorson into Dr. Boom, bank on the fact that he doesn't have removal, and then you win. But in this case, if you end up playing from behind here, it's not gonna be any fun.
This is what I was saying about Stancifka's hand before. It over the long course of the game, it was a lot better, right. and Stancifka has managed to let it go out to that long course, and now he's managing to get boards back. But Force of Nature combo has to come down here to establish that board dominance. Gets a 2-3. That's better the parrot.
I mean, you might as well just trade with the entire board, right?
Yeah, keep the board.
But Cipher with nothing more than a Keeper of the Grove Bear. What do you do here? Double Innervate. Yeah, okay. It might actually not be too bad.
So you could Lotheb, Swipe, Innervate, Darnassus, Aspirant. You regain board.
You could play everything. You can even Innervate the Keeper to face if you want. At this stage, you can just do about everything. I mean, Stancifka could technically, I think, play his entire hand, right?
Yeah, probably, if he wants to. I mean, Keeper, Hero Power, the Lotheb. Keep the Swipe, maybe, but... I know. I think there's a merit to leaving stuff in your hand anyway. If you can just if you can deal with this quite cleanly with say 3 or 4 cards and leave 2 more, it just leaves the question in Cipher's head: does he have combo now? Am I gonna get taken out?
Yeah, I really like this because you deal damage to the face and you can finish off the Lotheb with the Keeper, and then you just Innervate Lotheb. You can do everything you want if you're Stancifka here.
Dump the hand.
Got the options.
All right. So is he gonna leave the Aspirant?
I mean, he's one off lethal next turn if he plays everything, and he could definitely top deck a win. You know, Druid of the Claw, he's got Forces of Nature, he's got Savage Roars. I think just going all in is perfectly acceptable when you've locked all the spells from your opponent from being played.
Sitting at 30 health as well. Another Force of Nature, it's not going to do much here. Oh, this is looking tough. Double Keeper to clear something?
Double Keeper to kill that 2/4, and then you play BGH for tempo.
Man, that does not feel good as a Druid.
What feels good here, though?
Nothing. Nothing at all. It's
right.
such a shame.
I can't quite figure out what feels good in a position like this. I mean, I guess there could be an argument for Double Keeper the Lotheb and finish it off with Hero Power. That way you only leave 4 on the board. But, I mean, you're still dead to the same stuff.
Is your health a resource at the moment at this point? I don't think it is, really.
It isn't, but like you're getting 1 extra armor than if you went for BGH. But over the long term, you get many less trades. Because you lose the BGH for attack into something else.
Yep, Tempo BGH. Double Keeper BGH. Like, utility cards coming down, not doing anything related to utility.
And Stancifka is going to look for a lethal. Now, he could find a swipe for that as well. Oh, no, he's already played those. Oh, wow. 1 mana off.
So, let's have a look at the damage from Cipher. Does he? You can just trade into BGH, which is fine. 5 to face. Hero power.
Looks very safe, yeah.
And bam, that's it. Force of Nature sitting in hand, Ancient of Law, and clearing the board. You need an Ancient of Law to heal, and you'd have to clear the board.
That doesn't look very likely. He finds one of the two with no heal. So if Ancient of Law for card draw, what saves you?
Nothing, I don't think.
Oh, come on, there's got to be something.
Death Lord? No.
Savage Roar is not even there. Actually, Savage Roar wipes the board. No, you died to Lothab. I'm sorry.
It's too much.
I'm sorry, Cipher. You've got nowhere to go. This is it.
You can heal and trade in your 2 dudes into the Drake.
I mean, from his perspective, he's not dead yet. So what he's going to do probably is trade away the 2 guys into the Drake and then Ancient Lord to contest. Or maybe you just trade into... I'm not sure. I think Stancifka ate a piece of fruit.
he's known for that. He does love chomping on that fruit when he's playing. Like when we were at Gamescom, he just had like bananas, apples, just all over his computer desk, eating away. So he does actually go for it. Is he going to use his hero power?
Ultimately, it doesn't really change too much, right? That you use it now because you're going to take the damage from the minion anyway. So if you're going to kill it, it's the same thing. In this case, though, he hopes that the 5/5 will contest the Lothab and he's not going to die to Force of Nature, which is a decent assumption. But in this case, Stancifka's got more than the lethal he needs, and that's going to be it. He's going to take the first game in the Druid mirror match.
An honest Druid mirror match. We saw no ramp. They had to fight for board. They both had clunky-ish hands to start with, and when the Forsen started coming down, that's when the heat really got kind of picked up with these players. But well played, Stancifka.
Interactivity in Hearthstone. Get out of here. You can't be right. We see Stancifka with his Mage and Warlock left, and Cipher's got a Paladin, Warrior, Druid. And keep in mind, Stancifka let voluntarily Cipher's Warrior alive, so he's perfectly fine with that deck coming over. And now that he gets a win against something else, if he's not too worried about the Warrior, it might just be exactly what he's looking for.
Well, it could be Patron, it could be Control. I've seen Cipher play Control Warrior.
Right.
Well, I've seen him play it in the last few days, just kind of on ladder. So maybe he's fallen to that because he feels comfortable with it, but... Stancifka's been pretty brave, I suppose. Like I said, maybe he's had so much experience against Warrior over these last few months, so he's been so dominant. Like he just doesn't care. Like he'd rather ban something else. Yeah,
he's got a little notebook here, keeping notes, keeping tabs on what cards are played, just to make sure that he knows what your opponent's options are. So it's definitely a good thing. Cipher here with the Inner Rage. I'm assuming there's no aggro Warrior, so it's got to be something like a Patron.
Yeah, for sure. So,
wow, Stancifka with a double BGH.
That's interesting.
I like it. I kind of like it because if you expect to ban, if you expect to leave Paladin alive, Mysterious Challenger dies to BGH on an empty board from an Avenge triggering, and against Handlock, if you expect it to show up, it kind of makes sense. I don't hate it. I just have to wonder what he's targeting exactly. Maybe
unless he's expecting Handlock.
Exactly. That would be my assumption.
Oh, there she is, Warsong Commander. She looks pretty now, but she's going to get beaten up by Blizzard soon.
Oh, man.
And she's going to retire.
Yeah, her skin's going to turn blue. It's unfortunate. Poor little girl. I really wonder what Warsong Commander is going to do, really, because there's nothing to use it with. So people are just going to let it go and move on with Patron. Stancifka firmly believes that the deck will stick around in some form or another.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Maybe not to kind of the dynamic version we have now with kind of the Throbbins and stuff, but I think Patron on its own is still powerful. It'll probably just slow the deck down. It won't have the charge element to it, so it'll be much more of a board control deck.
Definitely, I think it would be interactive because the Patron's not charging would mean that your opponent gets to respond to them and maybe nullify the threat before it becomes overwhelming. So again, Handlock, we say that this is one of the best matchups, one of the best decks against Patron Warrior, but as people have learned to play against Handlock, it seems like the matchup is less and less lopsided in the favor of the Warlock.
It's true. I've seen Warlock, the favorable quote-unquote matchup, fall so many times to Patrons. And it's interesting here that Cipher actually plays a tempo Throbbin because Throbbin's an important piece of winning this matchup against Handlock. And if Cipher's been watching the games, he's probably seen a lot of Zoo, right?
Definitely. So I mean, that could be... You might expect Zoo to have already played something by this stage instead of tapping. If you know anything about Stancifka, maybe you expect the Handlock. I don't dislike the tempo frothing. What it does is it guarantees that because you have the execute, even if a giant comes out, the frothing is going to get buffed up. And if he couldn't kill your frothing on turn 3, then it's going to probably live to 4, maybe 5. So you're going to be able to get a lot of mileage out of it.
He needs to activate some minions for Battle Rage. Maybe Unstable Ghoul might be decent here.
So the drawback with Unstable Ghoul is that Hellfire wipes your board because it'll kill the Frothing after the AoE. Double Dark Bomb would do it as well, so there's definitely a good argument for not doing so. We'll see what Cipher opts to do. I think armoring up is a pretty safe play.
So Execute can come out. These Executes are so important in this matchup because they may be the only way you can punch through 9/9 Taunted Giants. And
is that a German giant?
A 9/9, a no Taunted Giant. Yeah. So yeah, it's very hard sometimes to punch through those minions without the Execute. But he wants to protect his Robin here, and I can see why.
Yeah, Stancifka's got no perfect answer to this just yet. We'll have to see what he comes up with. Maybe he finds a Mortal Coil. No luck on that front. Looks like Void Caller might come out. It's open to Deathbite. I mean, what it does is it forces your opponent to play a Deathbite and kill it, but he's reluctant, right? Because maybe Mal'Ganis shows up. Maybe something really threatening shows up, so he doesn't want to do that.
Never Patron to the hand, not what he wanted to see. Deathbite is so important for the Patron Warriors to be able to fight off these earlier minions. This Void Caller likes to create mind games, like what will come out? Can I deal with what has just come out? You've seen an Execute, right? So if Mal'Ganis came down, when Execute's gone, and he has to fish through more of his deck, and there's not been much card draw for Cipher just yet.
Yeah, Cipher, if he had a Deathbite, we need a golden spot. So he's going to Battle Rage for 1 card in hopes to find something he needs. This is not it. This can't be what he wants. And he is going to play the Unstable Ghoul. He's not too worried about Hellfire, it seems. So Dark Bomb will be sufficient here with the extra 3/4. I have to wonder about the Unstable Ghoul here.
I think there's not a lot going on in this hand, right?
I mean, I feel like you're just feeding the Unstable Ghoul, right? Because if he had Dark Bomb, he might have double traded either way. I guess you're guaranteeing a kill on that Void Caller. So there's definitely that argument to be made. I think that's what's going through his mind.
He can't. I mean, he could keep it for the combo later on, but as the way this game is going, no card draw.
Yeah.
Oh, Big Game Hunter actually lines up beautifully with that. That was an excellent play. Actually gets a cycle out of Big Game Hunter, which can become a liability in this matchup. So that was really good from Stancifka.
Yeah, and now Cipher can't even draw from the slam. He has got nothing. Makes you wonder why Hearthstone Commander is even being changed. when you see games like these, you just feel like Patron is thoroughly balanced, even bad. But overall, it's doing a lot better than against its handlock matchup.
Oh man, what do you even do?
I'm foreseeing the Warsong Commander Frothing play. Here we go, man.
If you throw away Warsong and Frothing, you've lost the game. Because he's already lost to Frothing. Frothing is how you win this matchup. You need.
I know.
You can't. It's not a resource. It stays in your hand, and it only comes out when you're gonna win.
I like the armor pass. I hope my prospects improve.
I think so. You can't slam either. I don't think
you could slam. You could slam something. I mean, there's a decent argument to be made for slamming, maybe to mitigate damage, because you might not have time later on.
I think card draw is more important at this point because this is his only piece of card draw he's had in the last 2 to 3 turns, and he's just thrown it away on the BGH, and he's at 30 health. I mean.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. I mean, it looks very dire for Cipher right now. It's not a hand he wants.
Force in time, I think. Or if you want to be super aggressive, you could tap Giant. What would you prefer?
Mountain Giant, Sun Fury is okay. I mean, I don't think Sun Fury is that amazing here. When you're getting the Emperor value, it's not going to get any better. I mean, we're looking at a full hand. It's hard to beat that. And if he couldn't deal with your measly minions early, do you think he can deal with this? I think not.
Oh, man. This is where Deathbite becomes a bit clunky, unfortunately, for him.
2 turns too late for the Deathbite for Cipher.
I mean, going forward, if he Deathbites something, I mean, if he Deathbites the Void Caller and he brings in a demon like Mal'Ganis, he's going to lose. If he Deathbites face and a Molten Giant comes down and he gets to taunt up, he's already used an Execute.
I think the play is really Deathbite face. Hope you top deck Execute, then play Warsong Commander and Frothing with an Execute, I guess, and hope that many minions are hit and somehow you go through. Yeah, you have to play the odds, and I don't think either of the, no matter how you look at it, this doesn't look like a great way to win.
And Forestong's going to get another tick as well. You never want to give Handlock another tick of Forestong. I mean, so much value here. That's just so bleak.
Yeah, Stancifka's got himself, 3 taunt givers with 2 giants in hand if he wants, so he can play the mountain giant taunted up. Unfortunately, and this is pretty much what Cipher's banking on, none of the minions besides the giant that will be played will be at particularly high health totals. So there's a good chance that when you end up playing the giant, it gets executed or it just dies to another removal piece from Cipher.
Although, if he does taunt up the Forison with the giant, he protects his Forison from the Death Spite.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't think Cipher's plays so far have been quite weak because he hasn't had a really strong side, and hasn't had a card draw. So Stancifka could potentially just take a risk here and feel like he hasn't drawn anything.
The giant on top, or is he playing? I mean, you have to play around Brawl, or do you even care? All right, never mind. We're all in, and Stancifka is going for the kill, which realistically Cipher won't dodge unless he's got the Brawl, and that is not it. He could still get it if it's in his deck.
So patrons might be. Patrons don't even really do much. That's the problem.
Patrons might be good. Oh wait, no, not so.
And another problem is this Void Caller, he doesn't know what's going to come down from it. It could be Doomguard, Jiraxxus, it could be anything.
At this point, I think it has to be a Brawl. If there's a Brawl in his deck, is the Acolyte draw and then Hail Mary that Brawl. He escape concedes, and he gives Stancifka the information that there is no Brawl in his deck, perhaps.
Yeah, that was tough for Cipher. We say it's a tough matchup, but it's not unwinnable. But Cipher just didn't have any card. He didn't have a card draw engine from the beginning, and which is so important with the Patron Warrior.
Stancifka probably was correct in his read that Patron Warrior wouldn't give me too much trouble. But now I want to see what his Mage will do against the Warrior, because that's another question mark, because Druid and Handlock, we know them. We know the triad of the triangle rather of Druid, Handlock, Patron, and then Mage is kind of a wild card, and it is Freeze Mage from Stancifka.
So Cipher, luckily for him, cues into a good matchup. Some very important ways to win this. You need your Armor Smiths. You don't play your Armor Smiths as just dudes anymore. Your Armor Smiths are your way to heal just crazy amounts
you
of the
get 30
patrons.
health, right? Just like casually, just an extra 20 health, and good luck burning that down with fireballs.
And you get to a point, so you save your Execute for Alex, and you save your Execute for Antonidas, and then you just press Armor until you get to a point where you can just whirlwind a massive Patron Ball with the Armor Smith. So
it's probably one of the matchups that you have the easiest game plan for, assuming you play them. I know some lists used to cut Armor Smiths, and for a brief time, Freeze Mage was kind of okay against them. But as soon as Armor Smiths came back in, which they have, and they've been around for a while now, you pretty much never lose this as Patron, assuming you find the Armor Smiths.
Although I do remember seeing Maverick beat Life Coach with Freeze Mage Patron, and it came right down to the wire. It was really tough. Life Coach had like 2 decisions to make regarding gaining armor, and he made kind of the wrong decision. Well,
a little less armor. I think I remember seeing that game.
Oh, it was such an intense match. So maybe we'll see something similar. Maybe Stancifka's got some tricks up his sleeve, which we haven't seen yet. I think the one problem is for the Freeze Mage as well. They never really put any pressure on the life total. So it just leaves the Warrior to just press armor. Just keep pressing the hero power button as much as they want, really.
Cipher sees uncomfortable with the length of this rope. He's
really?
Is this really like 75 seconds and you're going to ping me?
He's being life roped right now.
Yeah, Cipher right now, his face looks like that of a depressed man. He's like, okay, I'm going to play my turn in 2 seconds, Stancifka. Can you return the favor, please? And Stancifka's going to say no.
It's interesting he even pinged Cipher there.
I think milling might be something he wants to do. One of the things that you have to worry about as well when you are playing Patron Warrior is not overdrawing with Battle Rages.
That's true.
And one of the few and funny things that you can do as Freeze Mage is let them overdraw. Like we've seen people BM into death. Like on ladder, it happens very often. Warrior forgets that he's low on cards and just Battle Rages for 10 cards or like double Battle Rages and loses. So, I mean, it happens infrequently, but it still does.
So Frobin's going to come down, put some pressure on. This is what Frobin's job is in this matchup. just harass Jaina, ruin her day. And Stancifka's answer is kind of Frostbolt ping, but that's one of his direct damage resources.
What's interesting is this Frothing, if it eats up a Frostbolt, you're actually happy about it, right?
Ooh, Frost's a fireball.
Stancifka values the Frostbolt freeze effect to deny the ability for Cipher to just go off on a crazy Death's by turn. I like that decision.
I think another thing Frostbolt has as well over Fireball is Antonidas.
Is cheaper to play, so you can just play it immediately on turn 9 and maybe even keep the Antonidas.
Or even if he hits a Furson with like Ice Lances and more Frostbolts, he can just make so many Fireballs, it's very hard to armor it past it.
That looks like Stancifka. I mean, if he picks up an Emperor Thorson and an Archmage over the next few turns, he's pretty much set for the Fireball spam, at least the beginning of it.
He just needs to find it. He hasn't had much card draw. The Mad Scientist will definitely help because he'll thin his deck for 1 card, but he does need to start finding Acolytes, you know, the Arcane Intellects. Because, I mean, the Blizzard and the Frost Nova doesn't really do anything at the moment because there's not enough pressure. The Cipher's doing the same as Stancifka. I just want to draw cards.
Yeah, it will be amazing, though, at one point, right, when the combo comes out. Now, Cipher decides to use a Slam to not draw cards. Definitely a good... I think it's a correct decision in this case.
Does he? Yeah, he does attack. Okay, pop that. It looked like he wasn't going to attack there, but pop the Ice Barrier. That's just fine.
Is there a drawback not to? I mean, if you attack first and then you kill the Mad Scientist, at least maybe your opponent gets a dead turn because he can't go for you know, another Ice Barrier, assuming that's his only play.
Another thing was a slam as well. When he slammed the Mad Scientist, he stopped 2 damage from coming at him.
Coming out, yeah.
Or he stopped having to trade. So his hero power gets more value there, and that's what it's all about here. He just wants to draw cards and use the hero power.
All right, what will we see Cipher do here? I mean, Emperor Thorson is not a card you're happy to play on a board like this because it's not really putting anything that you're looking for.
I like 1 Battle Rage now to see what you get, and then you can make more decisions to battle. Cycle your draw cards, and then force on the next turn, we'll probably hit something with more value.
Yeah, and do you slam? I mean, you could slam this Loot Hoarder, but maybe it's better to keep it for an execute play on something like Alex Traza later.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see what the Battle Rage goes first.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's the correct play.
Go.
Frothing. All right, hello, fellow. The other Battle Rage would overdraw him, so he goes for the slam again. Same line of thinking. It's consistent with his game plan so far.
And armor up. My armor button's very important. You could have been super greedy today, like double Battle Rage, coin, shield block. I'll just draw everything, but you know he's been pretty conservative. And next turn he can coin. He can force on coin Battle Rage. So if he wants to draw more cards, that option is there.
So Stancifka, he's got the burn. He doesn't have the cards he's looking for, like you know, Archmage Antonidas, Emperor Thorson. Those would be amazing. But he's got time ahead of him for now because there's no pressure coming from Cipher. He hasn't seen an Emperor Thorson, so he's not worried about a crazy OTK. The frothing was already taken care of, at least one of them. So he probably feels okay with what's going on right now.
So I'm curious what he's going to do here. Thorson seems great, of course. You hit some really important pieces here.
Last few turns, he definitely did, yeah.
I don't think I would have mind seeing maybe coin Battle Rage to just hit more cards. Because if he finds the Armor Smith then as well, it would have just been amazing. Oh, another Fireball. That's 2 Fireballs gone on minions alone.
Yeah, I guess Ice Lance is a Fireball in some cases when you use it in a specific manner. Now we're going to have to see what Cipher opts to do. He's got the opportunity to hit the opponent for quite a bit, but the problem is it's not enough. To really like pop an ice block if it's there. It won't be threatening enough if it is an ice barrier. So you're still not putting your opponent in a position where he can't answer your plays.
This match for Stancifka, although it's quite hard, what's really good for him here, playing it slow and just playing it out, is information. He might find more cards in Cipher's deck that he hasn't already noted down, because he's writing down everything. Any card that's played, he's jotting it down. So this is like an information gathering exercise for Stancifka going forward, because he's still got 2 more matches, which is going to be good. So
definitely.
Very smart from Stancifka.
I mean, in this case, he's just noting it down to know exactly what Cipher's going to be playing in the event in case they meet up again. Yeah, that's an interesting card in Freeze Mage. You don't see it very often. It is, however, you know, viable. We've seen some versions of Freeze Mage run Duplicate, and when you see that, then there might be a Belcher sprinkled in. It'll return, you know, heal bots and Doomsayers.
I think we've jumped the gun here with Freeze Mage. This could potentially be Echoes.
It totally could be.
Like, we haven't seen
the fireballs make me believe it's not, but I might be mistaken. I just haven't seen too many fireballs in Echo Mage. But I don't put it past Stancifka to be playing exactly that. And if the Belcher gets duplicated, that would be an absolutely crushing blow.
Yeah, Stancifka's Raised a lot of questions with us of what he's
Right.
playing. It's an interesting list. Unless he's just putting like the anti-keel bot and the sludge belcher to slow down aggro even more.
Well, I mean, if you're playing, like, we're looking at this, you know, he did let Warrior go through. And Sludge Belcher is notably good against Warrior. I mean, sure, it suffers from dying to Death's Bite, spawning an extra patron off the slime. But if you play it at a proper time where that's not going to happen, then it's totally fine.
Another shield block. More armor here. So Cipher's sitting on a healthy amount of armor. You can still press hero power as well.
Yeah, that's a very, very skill-demanding move.
I know, he just needs to hover over it and he needs to click it.
Yeah, like very hard and very fast.
Do you know you spend like 8 hours a day practicing that as a patron warrior in this matchup? You're just there, click.
Well,
click.
what you have to keep in mind is you do have to increase your APM as a control warrior, as a patron warrior. So one of the perks of that is that you learn to click your hero power very fast.
Such a good skill.
I know. I'm impressed every time.
There we go.
I mean, he can essentially play Hunter now, right?
Yeah.
He's good to go.
He's learned. You learn in 2 classes in one sitting here. You learn how to play Hunter and Warrior at the same time.
That's really insane.
They're both sitting on a healthy amount of armor and health here. I mean, Cypher's is a lot more.
Oh,
there
it's
we go.
the duplicate variant. Stancifka with the duplicate Sludge Belcher. Cipher will see it coming, though. I think once you see the Belcher fall down, something's up.
You're like, hold on a minute.
Yeah, this is not what I signed up for. And then you still have no choice but to give him what he wants.
Which it makes sense if you think about it. He's been throwing fireballs kind of around like they're worthless almost.
Right.
Like, because fireballs obviously a big important part of finishing off a warrior.
So it is going to be a freeze mage with duplicate, which gives, like, playing the fireballs as removal makes a lot more sense when you know the pressure that you're going to be getting from those Sludge Belchers is.
There's the Armor Smith though. Uh-oh, indeed. This could snowball Cypher's life.
Cypher's math face is pretty priceless. Look, he's like, I don't know how to calculate this, but it looks like a lot of armor, and this Belcher is pestering me.
It was almost like he just sat back there, whoa, I can gain a lot of health here. How much? I don't know.
I'm not a mathematician, but that looks like a lot.
Oh, man. So, question time. Is it a duplicate Cipher? Do you see that?
Cipher, do you foresee the duel? He's just going to go for the armor gain.
I think you do.
I mean, when you've got that Unstable Ghoul, that Inner Rage, that Whirlwind, all the amazing cards.
And this is where we're going to see Cypher's health skyrocket out of control here.
I mean, waiting for the second Armor Smith might have been correct. I'm not too sure how you play this situation usually, but I think when you wait for 2, you get even more value, except when you have a board like this, it's probably fine to get just the 1, because you might get a second wave of patrons later on. I
think another thing to consider as well with the second Armor Smith is you do have a second combo.
Right, exactly. There's a second wave of it, yeah.
And speaking of second Armor Smith,
did Cipher get all his moves through before the end of the turn? Because Duplicate will take a while, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Did Cipher just... Cipher, did you do it? Oh! Oh my god.
He didn't.
This is the Belcher curse.
And there's Tony. So he just needs the Forest and the Ice Lances now. But look how much health Cipher's sitting on it.
I kind of like Archmage Nova. But you want to go Nova... Do you go Nova Doomsayer here and force your opponent to use an Execute on your Doomsayer if he wants to keep his board? Or do you risk running into a Whirlwind with even more armor, which would put you in an even worse spot as Freeze Mage?
I think if you're going to go for a Frost Nova play, you need to bait out removal.
Yeah, that would have to be, like, unless you really want to go for the Archmage, which then doesn't get removed.
I mean, you've seen 2 shield blocks, so you may assume this is Shield Slam. Because that's quite a popular list.
Definitely makes sense.
Have we seen an Execute yet? I don't think we have.
Man, Cipher, you know, Stancifka doesn't care because Cypher's about 7 cards ahead of him in draw with that last Battle Rage that just happened. So Stancifka is probably happy to play the long game. Just fatigue out the Patron Warrior.
Yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe this is his game plan now going forward. Just even though he's got all this health, Cypher's drawn so much that the fatigue will really affect him going into the later parts of this game.
Yeah, the fatigue paired with the Archmage, like that's a really big deal. When you start stacking fireballs on top of the fatigue, it really adds up quickly. And Cypher's got very few turns to finish off his opponent. Playing the Acolyte here is a dead giveaway.
Wow,
that he doesn't mind drawing. And Stancifka probably will be fairly happy about this.
I'm super surprised he's just thrown the Armor Smith out here. I wouldn't have played that.
Oh, well, you're not playing Cipher's seat?
That's true. I mean, he's got the other combo. I think it's super important that Armor Smith finds an insane amount of health for a Will.
No, I agree. Like, he wants to get that massive health gain, right? That's what, at this point, he's looking for. Do we foresee the Emperor Thorson? Or do you expect a ping on the Acolyte just to speed up the process? You expedite it, just a little bit.
Oh, Thorson's very tempting. Hits an Ice Lance and a Frostbolt, so Antonidas will be very... Oh, we can Antonidas, Frost Nova, Frostbolt, Ice Lance for 3 fireballs. So that's pretty juicy.
The following turn is looking very strong for Stancifka. If he goes for the Emperor. But again, if he goes for Emperor here and doesn't deal with the Armor Smiths, he's also opening himself up to a position where the Warrior gains even more armor. And if that's a problem at all, then this is the play that enables it.
So Cipher playing the Armor Smith is going to play into his favor. If he decides to go down that route, if he decides, you know what, I'll just gain more armor. But then again, he still needs to win the game. He still needs a win condition.
Right now, it doesn't look like he's got any. I mean, he's still relying on his Whirlwind AoE, I think, to carry him forward. The Death Spite is going to come out, finish off the Thorson. And what's next? You just armor up and pass, it seems.
Yep, keep hitting that armor button.
That's almost a fireball.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of how this game has gone. Because I would have said straight away, Cipher, you know, you're in the driving seat here. But Cipher doesn't have a win condition, really, at the moment, because Stancifka's not giving him any minions to interact with. He missed attacking the Belcher. He roped out, so he missed like 12, 15 damage.
I think it was like 6 or 9, maybe a total. About 9 damage, yeah, because you have to attack the slime first. But it was a substantial amount. And that is something that you absolutely need to get against Freeze Mage. They're already healing up a lot through the ice barriers. That's 16 health you have to go through. The anti-heal bot makes that even more difficult. And now the Sludge Belcher being duplicated makes your life a complete nightmare. And Cipher has no choice but to go all in on the patrons, get all the armor he can. And I'm not even sure that's going to be enough. But there will be a lot of armor on his hero.
The Belcher wall.
Oh
my
goodness. Look at that.
Baiting out some removal as well, which is excellent.
This is a lot of armor. That is way too much armor.
Stancifka doesn't seem phased by it, though. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I can deal with it.
Yeah, he's fatigued. You know, he's going to hit 10 damage per card drawn long before I'm dead.
It's interesting. It's these matchups, especially like Freeze Mage versus Patron. Like I mentioned before, the game with Maverick and Life Coach, it was very much the same kind of style, where you just didn't know where it was going. You kind of felt like, Patron's favored, is going to win. It can gain loads of health, but yeah, Maverick managed to actually win that game, regardless how much health Life Coach gained. So maybe it'll go that way too.
We'll see. I don't know. That's the last armor gain that Cipher's ever getting, because Stancifka might give him another opportunity with the, Blizzard giving him another round of armor. But that's the last effort that Cipher can put together, and this is the board that Cipher has to win with. He's got weapons. That's a lot of phase damage, and the Belchers are gone. But can Stancifka really let this board be a problem? I don't know about that. He gets a ping Blizzard if he wants to. Another duplicate with Healbot. That can help even further later on. I have to wonder against something like Face Hunter or Mid-Range Hunter, how does this fare?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, he banned Hunter.
He did ban it, so I don't think he likes it very much. I have to assume it's not something he wants to face off against. And another 7 armor for Cipher. The Patron will not get to clone itself, and Stancifka will merely ping it.
All right, so...
Lots of armor.
Lots of armor, but what does Cipher do to win?
I mean, you have 75 health. That's a big number. I mean, you at least win the swag war, at least.
That's true. It's just... man, it's... I mean, what I would like to see here, maybe from Stancifka, is play Duplicate. Next turn, play Tony. Throw all your spells. He'll think, damn, I need to remove Antonidas.
And then you get 2 Antonidas.
Then you get 2 Antonidases. So that's something to consider.
Yeah. I was going to say, is it Antoni die when you have many? But I guess it's not.
The plural.
Yeah, I don't think it is, because it's not a US.
Almost out of cards. Draws more card draw.
That's good. It speeds up the fatigue process. It turns Resident Sleeper into Exciting Sleeper.
Armor up. Oh, man. So much health.
Yeah, but in the end, it didn't even matter. Linkin Park.
Linkin Park. What are you going to do? So, Antonidas, Duplicate, Frostbolt, Icelands.
That sounds just fine to me.
That sounds beautiful, because if Tony gets duplicated, it's going to look very much in Stancifka's favor.
Yeah, and how does Cipher remove it? He has to override his Death Spite and execute? Now, I mean, at this point, Cipher thinks, oh, this is probably Ice Block, right?
How do you win with this hand? I don't think you can.
You can execute face.
Yeah,
I mean, Twitch chat is good at that. I know they are, but...
And he executes, and then Stancifka smiles, eats a banana, and says, well, you got more Tonys to deal with than this one.
Tony, go!
Oh, man.
I choose you. All right, well, it looks like Cipher, without any more damage,